1998. And according to the Auditor General's report, the reasons for closure was poor liquidity and insolvency. The liquidation agent was KPMG from 1999 to 2001, and thereafter the bank was handed over to Bank of Uganda. And the status today, the status is the process of winding up is ongoing. The bank was closed on the 18th September 1998. The status is the process of winding up of this bank is still ongoing. Mr. Who is leading the delegation? Mr. Just get the microphone to the leader of the delegation. Do you have any written submission you have made?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Can you also agree on the time? You know, sometimes if you don't have timelines, we take all the whole day. Can I give you 1 hour presentation and even questions you are going to get from the honorable members?
Much appreciated.
1 hour is enough, honorable colleagues? Okay. So you have keep that in mind. We have 1 hour maximum. If you can do it in 2 minutes, well and good.
Procedure, Chairman. We see documentations regarding the International Credit Bank that have not been laid officially.
Sorry?
We are in receipt of their presentation that has not been laid officially.
We are not yet in receipt of it.
We are.
No, physically, but not on record. We are going to do that. We are going to. Members, there is a quasi-yellow folder. No, there is this folder I hope everybody has.
It's not readable.
So, Mr. Kato, can you tell us what is this?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. In the folder, we have a presentation outlining the circumstances under which the closure of our bank happened. We also have managed to get some copies of correspondences that will be able to back up some of our claims. Other than that, you know, we didn't have a chance to take records from the bank, considering the way we were closed. So this is the bare minimum that we could lay our hands on. We wish you could have more.
So can you therefore lay on table official the document which you have come with?
Much obliged, Mr. Chairman.
Whatever we do here is being recorded. I have always said that it is bad manners to record somebody without telling him so. So whatever you are going to say here on the microphone is going to be recorded. And that is for Mr. Kato and the rest.
So, Mr. Chairman, may I lay on the table a copy of our presentation as I've just described it?
Dated?
This document is dated February 2019.
Signed by?
Signed by Kato Patrick, former Managing Director, ICB.
Reference?
Reference is unrealistic circumstances that led to the closure of International Credit Bank.
Okay, proceed. Hope it is. Oh, the rest are attachments?
Yes, some attachments, Chairman.
Can you go through it? If it's too long, please just summarize it.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and members of COSASE. My name is, as I just said, Patrick Kato, Managing Director of the defunct International Credit Bank. Along with me, I have Mr. Charles Musekura, a former Director of the Board. Other shareholders, as per the invitation letter, the Chairman, my late father, is no longer with us. And then my mother, she's...
No. We may... Let us not describe people in terms of relationship.
All right. The other shareholders are not with us.
Yeah, just mention the name.
Yeah, the names are Mrs. Mariam Kato and Mr. George William Kato. Yeah, so you took...
The record is not clear. Where is Mr. Thomas Eyamulemi Kato? If he's deceased, say Mr. Blah Blah, who's the manager, shareholder,
the chairman is deceased.
Somebody is going to read that record.
Okay,
then he should be able to follow up. He doesn't know the relationship between the late Thomas and you.
Much obliged.
Proceed.
Yeah, the former chairman is Mr. Thomas Kato, who is deceased, and Mrs. Mariam Kato is not available. She's very sick.
Okay.
And George William Kato is also not available. He's because not in the country. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, brief background about the ICB, and I'd like to thank the committee for giving us this chance, because for the first time in 20 years since ICB was closed, we have never come out to tell our side of the story publicly. And you will take, with your permission, we would like to clear the fog after many falsehoods were thrown at us for reasons best known to the perpetrators. ICB transitioned from a credit finance institution in the names of International Credit Finance in 1977. So the dream of ICB started in 1977. That's when this company was registered by the late chairman at a time of unstable political environment, with the main objective of serving as an agricultural bank. Moving fast forward, the chairman returned from exile in 1986 and continued with the dream. And in June 1990, after having met the minimum required capital adequacy of 75 million shillings set by Bank of Uganda to establish a credit institution, the doors of this credit institution were opened to the public with the same shareholders as I've just mentioned. So in 1996, in line with the innovation, International Credit Bank was the first bank to introduce a smart card, which is an electronic wallet. Just to describe it, it's nothing different from mobile money that we have now with MTN. Here you can move money on your phone, and the product that we had introduced at the time was a smart card where the electronic cash would be stored. So that was to enable purchase of goods, services, and fuel using electronic cash. Later on, the same card was accepted by the Uganda Revenue Authority for paying taxes. This card was hugely successful and popular. We approached both government and the private sector, and indeed we were successful in convincing Uganda Revenue Authority to accept. So we became the first private bank to collect taxes on behalf of government besides Uganda Commercial Bank at that time. May I table the agreement that we signed with Uganda Revenue Authority. Yes. As for the fuel card for the government fleet, it was announced in the budget speech of 1995, and indeed we managed to score a huge success in that. In the budget speech of June 10th, 1998, the Minister of Finance declared the savings that government had made by using that card. The way it was successful is that every single civil servant who was entitled to fuel received a card, thereby eliminating wastage which was there before. So
tuwaye n'okugitegeka libeera bbanja lyennyini tosobola kuwumula okutuusa ng'olisasudde. Entebe eneeteekwa okugasa abantu buli wiiki.
Omurasita kyanoonya bwe kyolina
lwa butayagala kumanya.
Exactly. N'obeera era bannange gavumenti etuyambe.
Nyongera kubabuulira nabagamba emyaka ng'ebiri egiyise nti lwakiri waliwo be neetaaga okusabira mukama abanonne.
Ebeera interview omuntu gy'ateekeddwa okulaba. Yattaluumu wamulabako n'amaaso.
Moses.
Wali omumanyi?
Nali mumanyi baali bayita Moses Safi.
Muti lwaki nkola activism? Museveni agenda okujja naye nze nga njagala mu 7.
Nebagamba nti gavana waali.
Okunoonyereza n'okutegeera obulungi akyadde ku programu kikulu. Kijjayo emiramu emikulu tuwaye kwesimbi. Buli kimu tukyetegekera. Tutambula okunoonya abali mu buufu obw'emiramu egyatuwaye. Abalabi baffe baliko emboozi gye baagala okuwulira.
Nze okuva e Kaddugala paka Kampala gajjira ku motoka y'amatooke emabega.
Eyigiriza, esoomooza.
Naddukamu katono bwe ne gukuba omukono.
Paul Kinno Ssebe ekugwi.
Zino HV zino nnene.
Ewuniikiriza.
Yalowooza nti bagenda musalako kugulu. Yadduka.
Eteeka ku bunkenke.
Abaali mu ssabo yeefuula alagula aliko emmandu empitirivu ennyo nga mugajjajja byontumye embireezi nti ebiriwo ajja ekikapu akimugundirawo mu maaso ogenda okukebera nga mutwe gwa mwana omukazi n'agwa
naye n'akuddamu
nzimanyi nnyo ebbaluwa
kasonsomolera ng'erigoleddoveddo
otyo tuwaye ekyusizza ate ekyayongera okukyusa ebiseera bya Uganda kubanga ddoboozi lyogerwa ate liwulirwa.
From Uganda's political and economic capital to your district.
There are very many youth today who are unemployed.
The veterinary doctors who are trained are being replaced by soldiers.
From Karamoja to Soro, from Budoda to Gulu, we are on the way to your district.
We all can do something if we are united to end sexual and gender-based violence.
The police should have one face.
When you look at the security organs that are trying to help the district, these are the organs who are really helping the rich people.
We don't just give people a platform.
However, as mentioned earlier, some ill-intentioned staff in BOU with personal interests mismanage this process, resulting in loss of employment, taxes, and collateral damage to the shareholders. So, Chair, permit me to address the specific issues that led to the unwarranted closure of the bank liquidity, store capital inadequacy. I take you through the clearing accounts during December 1997 to 1998, where we experienced consistent liquidity problems as a result of smart money expenditure, which was brought to the attention of the governor of BOU while requesting for bridging finance, which, with your permission, I'll table the letter that we wrote to BOU, reference the liquidity position of the bank. We had facilities that we accessed for the cotton subsector region in the areas of COSASE and Bundibujo, which, because of bad weather, the loans became bad. The borrowers naturally defaulted, leading to Development Finance Department of the BOU to request this payment. So the money that we borrowed was then debited from our clearing account, then making the liquidity position even worse. We accessed also other facilities of ICTRR, also in the cotton subsector at that time, again for our clients, to address the problem of under-financing resulting in delays in implementation of the projects. And that costed the bank about 1.5 billion at that time. Yes, we wrote that letter, this dated 4th May. And we go quite in detail the steps that ICB took to address that problem. Mobilization of deposits, introducing additional charges on the smart card, strengthening the management of the bank with qualified, competent, and experienced managers. The board of directors, started as a family bank, but we realized that we needed to introduce independent directors on board. It was done, and these are all things that we mentioned to the governor and his senior officials. The first time of contact was in January 1998, when we wrote the first letter. But this letter I'm tabling, with your permission, Chair, is dated 4th May. So this is the constant interaction that we had. And then we also opened 2 unconfirmed letters of credit for a client called Pan-African Commodities of $2.5 million and $3.5 million respectively. Pan-African Commodities is owned by the Aya brothers, and these unconfirmed letters of credit were for the purchase of wheat grain, with the stock being collateral. So we opened letters of credit which were unconfirmed. We managed to get a third party, a bank, that was able to confirm these letters of credit. That was Rabobank. So we had then to take direct control of the stock so that we can be able to pay back that debt. When the bank was seized, the other first step Bank of Uganda took was to take charge of those warehouses where this stock was. It was 2 shiploads. It was a lot of wheat grain. It was coming in batches because Uganda had very few wagons. But this is an exercise that Bank of Uganda took over. But for some reason, Mr. Chairman, this item, which was used by PricewaterhouseCoopers when they're doing the due diligence to water down our position, is not mentioned anywhere in the audit report of the Auditor General. So we would like to request the committee to help us to find out what happened to that stock, because later on it was used by Price Waterhouse to say that it would likely wipe out our likelihood of wiping out our capital base, which was also done. So really now we, at the end here in the recommendations, we shall be demanding for that item, since it was an off-balance sheet, it should be coming back to the shareholders. Yeah, so yeah, as the letter I presented, we requested for a bridge finance loan of 3 billion. We just drastically reduced on our capital and recurrent expenditure. Well, as I said, we strengthened the management, and all this we kept on the central bank in the know.
Mr. Kato, I think you need to summarize the background.
Yeah.
Because we don't have all the time. You go to the meat.
Yes.
And
yes.
In our mind, the audit objective.
All right. Position was improving, so on and so on. An example is, how we reduced that clearing account, from 4.1 billion to 1.4 as of such as June 1998. Bank of Uganda. So, audit of the Bank of Uganda by the Auditor General. Quoting from the Auditor General's report, page 6, number 2.2. Number 2. In bold, except that of I. So 3 banks, we got the inventory reports and liquidation reports of the, except that of ICB. Yeah. And then the findings below are based on the review of the statement of affairs. I'm quoting again the Auditor General. Inventory reports and liquidation reports provided by BOU together with other documentation provided. In view of the above, we wonder whether we can then make realistic comments based on accurate information given by the Auditor General's report.
Mr. Musana, may you read to Mr. Katso and team the response by BOU on that specific one, the response to the committee.
Thank you, Chair. Our response to 2.2 is that following the closure of ICB, an inventory of assets and liabilities was undertaken and a condensed version prepared by KPMG, which is found in our records was provided to OAG.
We had a conversation with BOU about that issue, because if you have a condensed document, it must arise out of some source documents. Then you can condense it. We failed to get that one, I must say, from BOU. What they told us is a condensed version. I think that's the conversation we had when they came here. And then That was the first. Which one are you reading? Because you know they had 3 responses. And one was, since the last interaction with the COSASE on 12th November, we have located in the archives an audited full inventory report. Sorry? They withdrew that one, and then they came up with this. So the only thing we'll have to do is to Mr. Kagolo to forward that document to ICB. We don't have all the time. If you have any response to that document, it must be received by Friday, because Friday we are going to have an exit meeting with Bank of Uganda. So if you have any response to that document, you better get it from the Clerk of Parliament this afternoon when we adjourn.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chair. And we'd also like to draw your attention to the following. Let us please go to summary of table 2A and 2B on page 7. That's the following page. Table 2A and 2B. Table 2A is showing total assets from closure to 30th June 2016, and table 2B showing loan assets at closure. Now, if you try to put the two together, you see that the total assets of ICB as at 18th September are totaling 18,447,921,000. And then as at 30th June 2016, you see a drastic drop from 18 billion to 92 million. Okay, that is the total assets. Then, so you would presume that these, now let's first go to the second one, the gross loan portfolio. Okay, and you know the portfolio is the major component of the total assets. Here, the loan portfolio remains constant at 14 billion. If we look at those two tables, under ICB, you see that same figure. Okay, so from the table above, whereas there was drastic reduction on the value of the total assets, gross loan portfolio remained constant within a period of 18 years. And yet loan portfolio constitutes the biggest portion of total assets. It therefore implies that no loans were recovered by BOU within that said period of time, which is next to impossible and very suspicious.
I think we need to follow that argument. Please go back to it again, right from the beginning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're trying to put these two together, table 2A.
So colleagues, I think he's trying to explain the table on page 7 of the Auditor General's report.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
That loan portfolio is better explained together with the table on page 11.
Yeah.
Table 6, which provides for loans that are not secured. I don't know how they could have been recovered. Those that were poorly secured and the unknown. So when you add the unknown loans, where you cannot trace the owner, those that did not have security at all, it brings you to this figure of a constant loan portfolio that could not be recovered. So you may have to give reference. I don't know that you have table 6.
I do, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Yeah, I'm coming to it, Mr. Chairman.
Table 6 on page 11 of the Auditor General's report.
Yeah. Okay. So we're still maintaining, Mr. Chairman, that by the time the loan portfolio was sold to Nile River Acquisition, an amount of 21 billion 116,137,610,000, and it comprises the principal of 14 and the accrued interest of 7 billion. This is the amount which was acquired by the bank after a period of 19 years, and we still have it that no recoveries were made. Okay, which is definitely not possible. Loans were recovered. I myself had a loan and I repaid it. So, the Auditor General also informs us that BOU sold loans for 3 banks in 2007, despite the banks closing in 1998 and 1999. Details of loans that were sold prior to 2007 were not provided for verification. Okay?
No, I think there is a mistake there in the Auditor General's report. There was no loan sold prior to this time. What happened is that there were recoveries. The loans were sold as of, what is the date again?
2007. 2007
to Nile River Acquisition Company. Before that, there were no loans sold. Before that, BOU or its agents were recovering money from different customers.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think there could be a problem of selling a loan and recovery.
Okay. Fine.
Chair, but also when you refer to table 2, where Mr. Kato was saying that there was no loan which was sold, in that place which has no figure, that is a provision space. There was no provision made for the 14 billion, whereas provision was made for Greenland and Cooperative Bank. No provision was made for ICB.
I would advise Cooperative Bank and Greenland Bank to follow this because it affects all of you equally. This selling of the loan portfolio to Nile Acquisition. So I'm sure you have your own explanations, and the sort of questions being raised by colleagues should ring in your mind by the time you come to explain it.
So let us go to table 6. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Table 6 on page 11, as the Honourable Member has suggested. You find here the loan types, not secured, fully secured, secured, and unknown. Those are the ones of ICB with subtotals there. Then you have of Cooperative Bank and Greenland Bank, and the AG informs us that the total was 135 billion. So if you and Nile River Acquisition bought for 8.9 billion, as we have also learned. So if you take that amount of 135 and apportion it, into the 8.9.
Could you restrict yourself to ICB?
That's fine. This is a comment because we're also asking ourselves, why did they lump all 3 banks at a go? I cannot avoid talking about...
It's okay. Proceed the way you're proceeding.
Thank you.
Because what happened, colleagues, BOU lumped all of them, Greenland, Cooperative, and ICB. So there is no way to have an isolated explanation.
Yeah. So we as ICB want to find out, okay, if they sold for 8.9 billion, how much did we pick up as ICB? What did they sell us for? Okay, so you take the 135 into the 8 billion, and you find that you get a ratio of 16%. ICB gets 16% of that 8.9 billion, and 35% and 49% for the other 2. All right.
So can I be the devil's advocate? There is no devil here, though, of course.
Thank you.
Assuming the recoveries was for 135. But of this, what percentage was for ICB?
Yes.
21.
Yeah.
Greenland, 66.
Yeah.
Cooperative, 47 billion. So maybe they looked, maybe, I'm just trying to grapple with the, because I can't understand why they did. Maybe eventually when they sold it at 8, they went in 2 percentages.
Yeah, and we can also do that, all of us here. You just take the 21 billion for ICB against the 135, then you take the 47 against the 135, then you take the 66 against the 135. Then you have an idea of what each bank contributed to the 135 billion.
I don't know. I just don't know. I was just trying to think. Auditor General, because we are now having that argument for the first time here.
Thank you, Chair. These figures, the source of these figures is actually Bank of Uganda. All these figures that we have here, the source is Bank of Uganda. So it should be Bank of Uganda to tell us exactly how they are apportioned.
Yeah, but as a layman, it is allowed to do this. What this exercise we've done.
But Chair, let's benefit from the presence of Mr. Kato on this particular matter. When we were with the Bank of Uganda, actually this table 6 arose from a signed agreement between Bank of Uganda and the Nile Acquisition River. And at one point, we put the Bank of Uganda to explain the existence of a loan to a tune of 1.1 billion that is advanced to unknown parties. We are wondering the category of this before we went to the extent of how much they had been. Of course, when you look at the percentages, the explanation was that when you have these loans where you don't have securities, they were collapsed to the extent of the existing ones that were secured properly. I want to benefit from your presence. What is this category of the unknown and not secured?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would only join you in that question, because I really don't know how Bank of Uganda can say a loan is unknown. I just cannot. I can't imagine it.
We are going to ask the same question to Greenland and Cooperative Bank. So think about it too.
Yeah, let us also, in our case here, not look at just the unknown. Let us look at all of them. Bank of Uganda is the same person who says they don't have any ledgers. So we are also asking, what was the basis of classifying? Yet the Auditor General says he was not given ledgers. So where did they get this information?
First of all, are you in agreement with the principal loan that you had at the time of takeover, which was 8 billion? Do your reports show you that you had loans amounting to 8 billion?
8?
Yes. Because ICB is 8 billion before you, on table 6, before you add on accumulated interest to arrive at the total loan. Page 11. Yours was classified at 8 billion, the total loan portfolio.
Okay.
Yes. Are you in agreement of that portfolio?
Well, in my opening remarks, I said, Mr. Chairman, that we don't have any records. We just use these records of the Auditor General. The way we were kicked out of the bank, was in a way that we were unable to keep any records. We were not allowed to get out with anything.
Chair, can I also add on what Honorable Michael is saying? Could there have been any other audit that gave you different figures, different from what you're seeing in this audit report?
Oh, yes. There was another audit There was another audit by Jesper Semu.
By who?
Jesper Semu.
Who sanctioned that audit?
Bank of Uganda.
Honorable Kasibante.
Very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm also still wondering about a loan being unsecured, being poorly secured, and I got surprised when the MD himself was wondering what it could mean. But what I wanted to put across, in one of the remedies you said you did to clear this mess, you had to get this bank from the relatives and friends, maybe, to external directors, meaning there had been something efficient before you could correct it. And the bank is about finance. And these individuals, they are out to make profits, to make money. I wanted to ask, could we therefore have extended some of the loans to these directors who were actually relatives and friends, and there is no way these staff would actually go into the director's finance and find out whether he has enough security to take a loan that she or he has asked for, and then this could be put under poorly secured or even unsecured. What did you correct in the first place if you could not do this?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I do not dispute that we did not have loans that were not secured. Yes, we had loans, some loans that were not secured, and but to describe them at this level, the way it is in this table, that one I do not agree at all. Okay, very important. And having loans which are not secured, if you lending money and you may find that I can lend money to Honorable Kasibante, which is not secured, because I know his history, I know his character. The 4 C's. So I do not dispute that we did not have, but not in this manner, that we had 3.9 in the multitude, the way the amounts which are pushed to 3.9 billion. I would request that BOU comes with, they're the same people who say they don't have any ledgers, then they bring, I wish they could substantiate.
Mr. Chairman, now, it is a very important intervention from Mr. Kato. You had loans that were never secured. This is a very good admission, because initially the way I understood, you were also wondering how a loan could be unsecured and extended by a bank. But then, could you be having any, because one, I would wonder what would guarantee that without any security. So, for example, Kasibante could be trusted. What if he died? Kasibante could be trusted. These are finance, anything could happen. The other time you had a bank, today it is closed. What if I had trusted the Kato as somebody owning a bank and there was no security for that? So could you be having a breakdown that really would say this of Bank of Uganda is not justified? What we have unsecured was this, secured was this.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I wish you could let me continue. You haven't given us so much time. There are other examples which I have which could back up my request that we have to look at these figures again.
Yes, Honorable Yandala.
I just want to clear my mind if I heard Patrick correctly. He was saying recovery by Nile River should be taken in proportion of what the 3 banks were having.
No. It is me who was saying maybe they could have done it. I think what he said, why were we lumped together? I think that's the point he was.
Oh, he's wondering why they were lumped together.
Yes.
And I'm using these figures, Mr. Chairman, to try to find out how much then, if we're lumped together and an amount was collected, yet we also know the value of our assets as per this report, then if you break down the 8.9, because it will show us now the liquidation costs. It is going to come later in my presentation. We have a liquidation cost of 2.7 billion. Yet, when you do this ratio of this 135, the contribution for ICB is 1.4 billion. You spend 2.7 billion to collect 1.4. Yet the opening remarks of the Auditor General say that use less expenses and maximize the sale. Bank of Uganda does it the other way around.
Chair,
Thank you.
Chair, before Patrick continues, had you said you had given a loan to Aya of 2.5?
I beg your pardon?
Aya.
Yes.
Of 2.5, and the collateral was the stock.
Yes, it were the two letters of credit. One was 2.5 and the other one is 3 point something.
So could that 2.5 be part of the unsecured, because stock cannot be a collateral for such a loan?
Well, wish you could join and all of us ask Bank of Uganda, Mr. Chairman.
I think these people are in a little bit of difficult position because Bank of Uganda comes in, closes their doors, and kicks them out. They don't have opportunity to go with documents.
Not at all.
So to try and ask them to go into details of what they had here and so on is literally impossible. I don't know whether I'm getting it wrong, but
Exactly.
that is how I've appreciated this process of closure.
Yeah.
Because when the Bank of Uganda seizes a bank, it wakes up in the morning, get out, and you no longer have access to the documentation.
Yeah.
So I think this is the sort of difficult position we find ourselves into.
Absolutely.
But you see, Mr. Kato is also saying due to the bad blood between BOU and ICB. When I'm reading it from here, from some staff of BOU, could we know the staff? That was the same question we asked yesterday where we told about Bajenda. Maybe we could also get to know who are those people who think they're above the law.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we had, we're dealing with Mr. Katimbo Mgwanya, we're dealing with Miss Katimbo Mgwanya, we're dealing with Mr. Chivirige, Mrs. Matovu, and the other director, was it Mr. Obo? I'd forgotten the other name. Yeah. You know, those were the officials we were dealing with. And of course, we had direct access to the governor. We met the governor. At that time, it was a later Mr. Chikonyogo. You know, we saw him various times.
We go back to the queries, please.
Let's go back to the queries, Mr. Chairman. 222, refund of deposit protection fund contributions of 3.12 billion.
So your point before you go to this one is one, you are not sure of the unknown loan.
No, absolutely.
Does it exist in banking? Now all the bankers are here. Where are the bankers of Greenland? The professional ones. What is this animal called unknown loan? I imagine I'm not talking about shareholders, but maybe those who are professionals. Where are the bankers? Greenland, do you have any bankers here?
Yeah,
yes. If you can go on record, just let's get a microphone. Where is a mobile microphone? We don't want.
Mr. Chairman, you just can't have.
Because we are recording it, the record should show who was speaking.
Okay.
Your name?
My name is Harun Sebagala.
Are you a banker?
I was Assistant General Manager of Greenland Bank, Tanzania. That was my last assignment. In terms of relationship between a bank and the customer.
Is that a microphone? Yeah, just use that one. It's very easy. Thank you.
Clearly,
party you are lending to.
Is that microphone on? Yeah.
I'm saying for purposes of certainty and legal backing, because you must do this under the law. The other party cannot be unknown. It cannot be, you can't lend to an anonymous entity. While subsequent to lending, you may have to recover. You can't say, I'm going to this unknown entity to recover. The day you lend is the day you may lose the money that you've lent. So it doesn't exist.
So do you find it strange that Bank of Uganda is characterizing, and let us look at the figures. ICB, 1.1 billion. Cooperative, 7.1 billion. Greenland, 5.5 billion. It's quite big amounts of money. So could it be, to edge out also the other person's case, is that there was maybe an entry loan, but there was never a loan?
It could be, but...
Which could be actually fraud.
Yeah, because I'm reminded kindly by my lawyer friend here that there must be an account here, and the account must have a title. So in the very first instance, you can't lend to an anonymous entity.
It's a question which is going to come again when we are having the exit meeting with Bank of Uganda, because we never explored it in detail. But anyway, you'll tell us when you come. So is the Cooperative Bank. Yeah.
So could this be because of the manner, the way they were taking over? It was not systematic, and they ended up with things which could not be labeled correctly, so it was unknown.
Sure.
Because, colleagues, I think there's some fraud somewhere. And the fraud could be either in the commercial banks, or it could be in the liquidator. Because ordinarily in law and in banking, there is no way you'll have a known loan, because money is expended or lent out on an account, and an account should have an account holder. So if you have an account without an account holder, that should be fraud, either in the commercial bank itself, or somebody was trying to account for this money, knowing people will never look through this process, and is trying to do engineering, financial engineering here.
And just to add on that, I would let, if something is unknown, there is no way to put now attach value on it. It is somebody who took money and is unknown, but you can see the amount that somebody took. I don't think that is applicable.
Chair, I'm not sure whether you're saying the person was unknown. Here they are classifying the securities. The loan is either secured or unsecured. It is now when you're looking at the securities is when you will classify whether it is poorly secured or highly secured, that kind of thing. But now instead of them classifying the loans in two ways, secured loans and unsecured loans, but now they are bringing unknown. What kind of unknown is that loan?
Yes, Vice, I now get it better. This was security.
Yes.
That would be back
the type of loan that was given, like if you're giving a loan with a land title, that is a secured loan.
So
and
this was security that was never claimed by any person. It was actually good money, more than secured loan.
Because you see, this one is, we are trying to explain the query of 8 billion recovered out of 135
sale,
value. Mike?
I think this matter is predominant fraud, because if you read the Ogola report, he actually made a recommendation, and that is on page 22.
Yes.
Item number 8 on that table. He took note that there was actually fraud and forgeries, which he distinguished from insider lending. Insider lending, those are loans that can be traced from insider lending. But he took note that there was a provision of forgeries and fraud. And probably this brings out this particular category that you cannot trace who got the money. It came out of those on-site audits where there was a deficiency of monies that should have been available and they are missing, and you cannot attach them to a particular borrower. So it is a matter of fraud. These are forgeries, and it could be either way, like you said, Mr. Chairman.
I want to understand it in another
procedure, Chairman. Procedure.
My only problem is one, I don't want to use procedure to override your colleague.
No, it's a procedure.
Yeah, if somebody is really on the microphone, let him raise, then you raise your issue of procedure.
No, Chairman, it's not a procedural matter. Chairperson, wouldn't it be procedural right for us to continue, allow the witness to complete, then we ask? Because now we have reached almost towards the end, but we have started asking questions.
We may not come back to it if it is clear.
Yeah, but we complete like we have been doing.
Okay, let me guide this way. We've taken note of the procedure. Honorable Kasivante asked the question and then proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I was, when Honorable Mongo, really, as somebody expert in finance, gave what she suspects what could be the unknown loan. I thought of a situation, because what happens when they are closing these banks, it is all of a sudden. Now there is a Kasivante who had his security and he had actually fully paid. But before he comes for it, the bank is closed. I think that security remains there, but when the loan is completed. So when the Bank of Uganda comes in, there would be nobody really that is still owed by that commercial bank. But the security is lying there. I want to believe that would be the unknown loan. The security is with you,
no,
but I have completed everything that I had taken.
Honorable Kasivant, for those of you people who have properties, you can even lodge your property for custody with your bank. Safe custody with the bank. So it's not every property found in the custody of the bank is supposed to be a security for a loan, even custody.
This one was a security for a loan, but the loan is completed. But before I had picked it from the commercial bank.
I think what we have to do as a way forward, on Friday, we shall have more clarification from Bank of Uganda. Where is the Deputy Director, Bank of Uganda? Yeah, please, can you take note of that point? And when you come on Friday, please, we need answer. We need answers to it. May you proceed, Mr. Carter?
Thank you very much, Chair.
We need to proceed a little bit faster.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Now, going to the management of liabilities, by BOU Table 9 on page 14. Page 9. Page 14, Table 9. You have the total liabilities as at 19th August 1998 when they closed, and as at 30th June 2016. And when you look at it closely, you see that total assets of ICB were understated by a value of 12.6 billion as at 30th June 2016, being the accrued interest receivable, which was completely omitted, thereby worsening the position of the current ratio. That is also another concern that we have. Why was the account, the interest receivable, not recognized? Of course, it goes to the liquidity. Yeah, it's part of, it's a current asset. It's a current asset, and of course, by omitting it, you paint a very bad picture. The liquidity is not there. That's one point. Then we look at the refund of Deposit Protection Fund, DPF, contributions of 3.1 billion. Page 16, table 11, we discover that DPF contributed 279 million towards settlement of ICB depositors. And then when you go to page 12, table 12, page 18, 808 million was paid to offset this contribution, which is in excess by 529 million. So money is picked up in the liquidation. Then time comes to refund the Deposit Protection Fund. 297 million was spent, and then 808 million was paid. This further brings in question the type of information we are dealing with, Mr. Chairman, whether it is in good faith or by error or very intentional with personal interests in the liquidation process. Now let's go to the liquidation costs, because that's one item you emphasized which you wanted to know from the Auditor General to find out. A total of 2.7 billion was expense for liquidating ICB. Mr. Chairman, we're saying that there is need to verify the breakdown of this amount item by item, because it looks too unrealistic and contrary to sections 105 and 106 of the FIA 2004, which is on page 8, and it states that a bank in receivership is required to pay all liquidation costs, and the liquidator is required to maintain proper financial records, minimize collection costs in the liquidation process. On page 9, the Auditor General in his report also observed that BAU did not maintain full ledgers in relation to liquidation costs of ICB, Cooperative Bank and Greenland Bank. Therefore, he could not confirm the total liquidation costs. I had mentioned that point earlier. So, which brings me to, as I close the recommendations, the word defunct is defined as something redundant, obsolete, invalid, useless, or outdated, of which in practical terms ICB was none of it. ICB had not severely impaired its capital requirements, had not exposed the banking industry to systematic failure. ICB did not hold very risky assets. ICB did not indulge itself in much risk-taking behavior in order to maintain her profits. ICB did not partake in realistic accounting practices which would have allowed us to realize revenue upfront on the basis of conjectural estimates as opposed to future foreseeable losses, or engineer auditorial judgment that simply to operate as a going concern, coddle special interests, or act like a Ponzi scheme. There was no run on the bank. There was no run on ICB, and as we all know, in banking, the main asset is the confidence of the depositors. If it is there, you can fix anything. When there's a problem in the bank, we have the rating tools, each carrying its own risk. there were so many interventions that could have been done to save ICB. We were just ambushed and thrown out. We never had time to, take any records. I myself, my degree certificate was in the safe. I could not take it. Still there in Bank of Uganda. I don't know for how it will help them. And the actions caused death. I lost 3 managers. I lost the chairman. We had loss of revenue to government, loss of employment. I gave the figure of the employees, and of course the bad character repute to the shareholders. And we would request for appropriate compensation. Figures, we don't have them of what we think would be compensated for, although we also think that it would be selfish to just ask for compensation because that was not the whole purpose of setting up the bank. We would like our bank to be restated and get back our licenses and be able to offer services for the development of our country, because that was the driving factor in the first place. Would request for a forensic audit to be carried out in respect of the ICB transactions. There is no mention of the facility of about $5 million that was extended to Pan-African Commodities. Since this value was wiped out of the bank's capital, the bad book should be handed over to the shareholders. As I said, because this was an off-balance sheet item. And we have precedents which was set already in the past where other banks were rescued by Bank of Uganda. We all remember Nile Bank, Sembule, and others. The smart money card company, we had, with approval of Bank of Uganda, we had separated that business. But when the bank was closed, even the smart money card company was closed, there were efforts by the government at that time through the PSSST, who is now the current governor. He really tried hard to save that card a business because of what it had contributed to saving government expenditure. That also goes with it. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, when you look at the other foreign banks which are still in the market, which are, when you could well compare with ours at that time, looking at the profitability, the market share, and all that, these foreign banks are still there. Why is it that in Uganda we don't have private, local banks which are strong? Go to Kenya Commercial Bank, Cooperative Bank of Kenya is number 3 in Kenya, but the total number of accounts held by Cooperative Bank Kenya are more than the total number of current accounts held by all banks in Uganda. That is even before talking about KCB. You go to Tanzania, it's the local banks which are strong. Go to Ethiopia, Commercial Bank of Ethiopia. Go to South Africa. What is it about Uganda that we cannot have? Yet we're being told, build Uganda, buy Uganda. How can that happen, Honorable Cooper?
Okay, on the Boba note, end there.
When the money is in foreign lands. Thank you very much.
We'd like to thank you, Mr. Kato, on behalf, having presented on behalf of the institution you worked for and owned, which unfortunately is no longer in existence. We'll have to limit questions. If there is any other question, I will just give it only 5 minutes so that we move to the next institution, because it's already past midday and I needed to close out ICB by midday. Do you have any questions, colleagues? Okay. Only 3, then the rest will pass over to the other institutions. Honorable Kasivante, Honorable Kupa, and Honorable Mike. To see me.
Thank you very much.
The other colleagues will ask the other question to the other institutions coming.
Oh, I would also develop some when it comes to the other one.
Sorry?
But anyway, it is okay. Mr. Chairman, what I wanted Mr. Kato help us, when
Mr. Kato, please.
He signed this document, he has just submitted. He signs it as former Managing Director ICB. The way I had understood you, you are Managing Director of a former bank, but you're doing it the vice versa. To me, you are Managing Director of the defunct ICB. It is actually still even in liquidation, so the bank is still there. You cannot be former. Maybe if we could get the current MD and speak to the right person.
Yeah, but BO, you revoked the license as they told us here.
So he is both former of a former bank?
He is a former.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, on page 5, you speak of constant discussions with Bank of Uganda and other stakeholders. And this committee would actually need, it is an evidence-based committee. I take the chairman's guidance that when this bank was closed, you could not get time to get which papers you would want. But I want to find out whether you could have evidence of these constant discussions you speak about. Because as it is here, it is literature, not backed up by any other thing. But 2, on the same, you here give reference to section 951 of the Financial Institutions Act, blaming the bank that had options. You went on to list all the options that were available, and one of them is what was used on you. So can you still then say it was unfair? Because the very options you outlined as arrange a merger with the former financial institution, arrange to sell the financial institution, liquidate the assets of the financial institution. I believe it is one of these that was used on you. Are you now challenging the law? Because as far as you submitted, they acted within the provisions of this act. And but then lastly, Mr. Chairman and members, I get very touched when you said the actions of Bank of Uganda led to death of some individuals. You actually mentioned. I wanted to just have more on how this really led to death. I think it is a very serious one, and if it is so proved, we cannot allow actions of financial institutions, of a regulator, that could lead to death of people. I will need more of this. There is callers telling mistress, but I would...
Can I guide on that? We don't want emotions here, where even if this matter led to death and so on, and death is quite an emotional issue. It might distract us if we go into those details. I think we would rather leave it as such, and we shall handle it as such.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman, is on page 3, the first sentence, ICB acquired her permanent home in 1995 on Nkrumah Road, extending up to Nasa Road at the cost of this. It refurbished the same and innovated it to appreciate the value of 1.5 billion shillings by 1998, but Bank of Uganda recklessly disposed it of at 800 million shillings in 2001. I wanted to ask you whether you had any kind of valuation to ascertain this argument. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
and we need to have
evidence,
5 minutes,
yeah,
please.
evidence for the constant deliberations. Each meeting we had in Bank of Uganda, minutes were taken. Each and every meeting.
The story we have here about Bank of Uganda and minutes being taken at meetings is different. So don't assume.
I was there vividly. I'm a witness, Mr. Chairman.
Bank of Uganda has appeared before us, led by the governor, deputy governor, and all same banker secretary. And we have asked them, and they have told us these meeting minutes don't exist. Whether they exist and they're uncomfortable, bring them here, or they don't, it's another question. So don't rely so much on the minutes at Bank of Uganda. And they're on record here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Whether it is
on our
good
side,
or not for an institution like Bank of Uganda, that's another issue. For us, we shall have a decision on it.
Yeah, on our side, we just managed to get a few letters which I've handed over. That is the evidence we have. But yes, as I said, we had minutes were taken. Maybe I can also use this opportunity. That due diligence report, which Bank of Uganda commissioned using Pricewaterhouse, we never got a copy. But the deputy governor summoned us in October 1998 to go through that report, which report never recommended that of all the shortcomings, ICB should be closed. And also that report, we were unable to get out with a copy. But I would like to request the committee to help us get all these documents so we get our copies. And then on the permanent home, the valuation definitely is with Bank of Uganda. We gave them a copy. They have it. They have it. You wanted to say something on them?
Mike, Elijah and Mike, and we are closing this, please, within 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, just two things. One, you have talked about the bad book. Do you know the value of the bad book?
Yeah, specifically this AYA
$5 million.
It's about 5, yeah.
Okay. On the day when the bank was closed, just for clarity, you tell me that you were just told to get off. Did you sign anything? Was the inventory taken of what you have, what you had in the bank?
Nothing.
Eh?
Nothing. We never.
You were just told to get out and go?
We just told to get out and go.
Thank you.
Yeah. And they took possession of the keys of the warehouse together with my former staff who were managing those warehouses. So
I just want to get this. You are the managing director from that question. Bank of Uganda comes in the morning. Don't they allow you to come and hand over such that you know what they are taking?
It was not done.
Sorry?
It was not done, Honorable Chairman.
So how do you account for example, cash which is in the safe? Somebody comes and gets the key without saying, okay, there is 400 per £1,000, there is in the forex euros like this is Uganda currency.
Yeah. And if you look at those figures or showing those cash amounts, you know, on those audit reports, they're even conflicting.
Chairperson, that's why I put that question. I think you are
but we are going to put this, just 1 second.
Because
Bank of Uganda, Mr. Iga, are you taking note of that? Because when you come on Friday, these are the questions we are going to ask you, arising out of their submission. And gentlemen and ladies, please don't be economic with the truth, meaning don't say falsehoods. Because if they come and bring documents that no, the managing director actually signed here when we took over, we will just look at you in bad faith.
Yeah, I thought to see how you do the work.
As I conclude, Chair, that's why I brought that question. I wanted to be clear in my mind. Because here is a situation where we are asking Bank of Uganda for the documents. They are not there. Here Mr. Kato comes and says, I was sent away. So how did they arrive at the figures they're giving us? So that's why I wanted that clarity. Because if you are taking over somebody's property, you should be able, even if they asked me today, if somebody came and arrested me now, and took up everything from my pocket. I will not know specifically what it is unless I'm given time to record what I'm in possession with. So that's why I'm putting that question, such that we are very clear whether that's what happened, that they came and told you pack and go. And here is also Bank of Uganda coming in to us. They say we don't have those records. They acknowledge us. This now, who is telling what? So that's why I wanted that clarity. Now that you have put it that way, I think.
And Chair, when Mr. Kato says the figures are conflicting with what? Which one do you have which you think is correct?
Yeah, that's why I'm requesting, Mr. Chairman, that we have another forensic audit because you have 2 audit reports commissioned by the same regulator with conflicting figures. The information that Auditor General used was given to them by
Mr. Kato,
Bank of Uganda.
This one was commissioned by us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I withdraw that statement. So Bank of Uganda provided that information. So also the audit report, which was done by same Bank of Uganda, provided the information and even paid them.
Chair,
compare the two.
Chair, I think we need to get that audit report that was
the one of just by
SEMU.
Okay. Mr. Iga, as you come, please forward that audit report to the secretary, to our clerk tomorrow morning, okay? I'm sure it is in your case. Ms. Onovianda, and we close this. We will give you an opportunity to say something.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to hear from Patrick, because yesterday NBC told us how members were there, people in black uniform. How was your takeover?
Yeah, our takeover is that I got a call. I was on my way, just driving to the office as a normal day, and then I got a call from one of the managers that everybody was scampering. Policemen, guns. Don't know what's happening. Then the night before, the evening before, I had played golf with an IGP. His name was John Chisembo. Yes. I called him, I told him, man, we have a problem. What's happening? He shouted so many things in my phone and pop, just, cut me off. So I said, okay, now this one I'll leave him. I can't do anything. So when I arrived at the bank, yes, it was just full of policemen. I went to, I had to play calm, so that, if my staff see me panicking, they would also panic. So I tried to play calm and went to my office. And then there's a deputy director who came, Mr. Opio, I think, forgetting his exact name. He came, gave me the letter, signed by the governor, suspending me as the managing director, giving the reasons and quoting the law he was using. And we sat together, with him in the office. Some other lady came, I think she was called Robina. She came, we talked, looking at each other until time came and I was laid out. I had these instruments for the corresponding bank, which was...
Introducing Always Cotton Soft. Its unique top sheet is as soft as cotton and gentle to your skin while offering you soft